What's happening, fishing friends? I am excited for today's video because I got my hands on the brand new rod line from Cashion, the new Element Z2 line. Now, if you're not familiar with Cashion, they are one of the few rod companies making their rods, making these blanks right here in the US. They're actually down in Sanford, North Carolina. And they're probably most recognizable for the grips like this. This is their carbon fiber fiberglass grip. Seems like people either love it or hate it. It's like a kind of a basket weave. It's kind of hard. So I know people see them and they're like, I don't know. And I was kind of that way at first. But we're not talking about this line. We'll maybe do a review on these later. This is actually the chatterbait specific rod. I've had this, I don't know what, 3-4 years whenever this came out. I got it. Really liked it. But not talking about that line. We are talking about these. They're more budget-friendly version. This Element rod, they came out with the previous model. I'm going to show you here in just a second. A few years back, this is their newly launched. They took all the, the feedback and stuff from people using them and upgraded them. I like that when companies actually listen. So today I'm going to take you through an overview of these rods. I'm going to compare them to the previous Element model that they had and I used last year. And finally show you the new specific rods that I got and how I rigged them up, the baits I'm putting on them, all that stuff. So enough yapping, let's take a closer look. Now, Cashion is very proud of the fact that they are making the blanks and pretty much making all of the rod completely from stuff sourced here in the US, which I think is absolutely awesome. Matt, the Aggressively Average Anglers, actually had Dr. Matt on, the owner, Matt Cashion, of the company. Spoke to him. He's got a PhD in chemical engineering or something like that. The epoxies, the resins, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of his wheelhouse. It was really interesting listening to him talk and extremely proud of the fact, again, that they're made right here, which is sweet. Now, I went on the site and counted. I think they have 10 total casting rods, which they are going to have some of the BFS in that. I didn't get my hands on those yet. Hopefully coming soon because I did get to test the BFS version last year and really liked it. But 10 of those, I think, totaled, and I think 3 spinning. So I picked up a few of these, and the first thing I noticed is how the blank looks different. So I really like this finish where actually it's lack thereof. So if you notice, get in closer here, you hear that? People think, oh, they forgot to finish it. No, they just didn't put any sort of paint, any sort of coating, any of that on. There's some companies that do that. I know some people have said, oh, the rod's not finished. They did a crappy job. Well, no, there's a point to that because you cut down on this stuff. So this is the previous version, and you can see here, you can still kind of feel the blank underneath it, but it's got this blue paint kind of resin stuff all the way up the complete rod shaft up there. So you can see some subtle differences. It had this kind of blue coloring. They weren't bad. I didn't mind these at all. The gold coloring and stuff on here. Now, weight distribution on them is pretty dang good. Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit tip heavy. I could change that with the type of reel I've got on here. This is a lighter reel, but this is the jig and worm, and it feels really good in hand. I like how this piece here, I always put my finger up here. I hate how some of the companies get the trigger way far back, and it's like a stretch because I keep my pinky behind the trigger here, as you can see that, and it's a stretch. But with these, putting your finger up there, holding it like this all day, really, really comfortable. I like that. Now, I don't know if they're making this or if this is sourced from somewhere here in the US, the reel seat and all that. Didn't say. They did say that they upgraded the cork on this. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. They also put cork on the butt back here, but I know a lot of people really, really like the cork, and this contours down, kind of like your baseball bat type grip deal. So it does fit and feel really nice in hand. The old ones had the EVA kind of on the back section there. I don't know that it made a huge difference. In hand, both were comfortable to me. I do like this, and I think probably the cork against this black does look a little bit more professional compared to the blue. Totally a color thing. Preference doesn't hurt the performance of it, but for me, I'm pretty simple when it comes to look, so I like just the regular black, the gray against the cork. I think it looks really nice. They said that these do have the K-frame guides on the rod. Doesn't say Fuji, so I'm not sure if this is another company they've sourced here, which is cool if it is, as long as the quality is good. People hear Fuji, it's one of those names they know. It's a name brand, right? There's other guides and stuff out there that are just as good, if not better, but people don't know about them. So it's like you market it and people are like, I've never heard of ABC guide company. They must be crap. They're not Fuji, right? So as long as they hold up, I haven't actually got to fish it, bang it around and see how they're going to do. But I highly doubt they would put something like that on there. I hope not, especially after the stuff that they've learned working with the previous version. Now, so far, my only thing that I don't like on these, and this is just kind of a generic deal with a lot of the companies out there, is they use this reel nut. Now, this one isn't horrible. It's not as aggressive as some of them used to be out there. Because like I said, I put my finger up here, so I feel the line when I'm like hopping my jig or, hopping my Texas rig. I feel the line there with my finger. right like that, and it lays there. Somebody said, "Oh, Debo, you got sensitive fingers." Now I'm a pretty durable guy. It's just not real comfortable for me there. Now this one isn't uncomfortable. It's just there's some I like better. I've actually got a hack for this, some shrink stuff. I'll show it in a different video, but it completely takes care of that if you care. Otherwise, if you hold your rod like this and you just lay your finger underneath, it makes zero difference. You won't notice. Everything down here is nice and smooth. The final thing on these is price. They did keep these down at $129, so for all the rods, spinning, casting, doesn't matter whether you've got a cranking one like this, jig and worm, spinning, $129. And I've actually partnered up with them to do a few things. They did give me a 10% off code, DEBO10. I'll leave it linked below if you use it over on their Cashion website. Saves you 10%, so thank you to them for doing that. That's a savings that you all get for a rod that, like I said, at $129, just under 130 bucks, very, very solid build, feels really good. So how does it compare to the old model? I was testing out the old models last year. So these that had, like I showed you before there, the blue has the EVA on the butt section there. So overall, pretty darn similar, but I think they did make some good improvements to the stuff that they've done. But overall, I really like these rods. This is one of the BFS rods. I was throwing one of the little small 100 stunners on it. Felt very good for that. I'm excited for the new BFS line of these to come out because I have been messing with the BFS and it's a lot of fun. For the downsized bass stuff, I think that's a common misconception. That's a different video. But anyway, the old line was very nice. I didn't have any issues with it, but I think, like I said, some good upgrades coming. Now we'd have to talk to Matt because I feel like the previous generation was softer overall. Getting the new ones in hand and comparing it to the old ones, I wonder if, because they said they made a newer, more sensitive blank, what do they call that? Oh, some fancy marketing name, CR2 something blank, I don't know. But they said it is a more refined and a little bit more sensitive blank, which is great. I love when they keep, the price the same and trickle some of that stuff from the higher rods and reels, we're seeing in the industry, trickling that down. So the new ones did feel a little faster, which could be good or bad. Every company, kind of has lines that are softer, some are faster. Now this one they did change. So if you like the old ones, you had a specific one, these do feel a little bit crisper. So I don't know if that's across all of them, but like for the Ned Rig rod, I had another one of the casting, maybe it was the multi-purpose, that felt crisper in the new one. So that's something we'll have to test. Maybe we'll get Matt on at a future live and talk through all this stuff. But like I said, just depends on what you like. The old Ned Rig rod, this one you saw me using, this was actually the last video of the year. Overall, feel really good. Not night and day difference changes, like we've completely revamped it. But one thing on the spinning was I noticed this has been upgraded is this piece here, this cork, it just stuck up. That felt very unfinished to me, like it should have been sanded and beveled down, and that's something they fixed. Okay, so finally, let's take a look at the models that I picked up, how I rigged them up, and how I plan to use them. So the first is the multi-purpose. This is actually a dolphin's favorite rod because it's multi-purpose. Oh, that horrible Jad joke reminded me that they do have a 3-year warranty on these as well. I think if I remember looking on the website, it was like $45 for replacement plus shipping, which is maybe like what, 15, 20 bucks. So you're looking at half price of the rod if you were to break it to get a new one. So I'll have to double check and confirm that, but it is for sure a 3-year on these, which is really nice. Again, a budget rod made here in America, be able to send that back and get it is pretty dang sweet. So this first one is the multi-purpose, a 7'1", moderate fast, medium heavy, rated for lures up to 1 ounce. And to me, this is going to be all the larger hook baits. So this to me is the stereotypical multi-purpose. When I tell people a 7 foot to 7 footish, like 3, medium heavy, moderate fast. So it's got enough of a backbone. Can't really show the bend here. So it's got a good bendy tip to it, enough where you can load lures up, where the tip kind of loads a bit before you really, feel that hook set and set into it. But it is that medium heavy, so it's still got a good backbone, a good, I would say 3/4 of the way up, 2/3 of the way up, something like that. It's not like a crankbait rod that bends all the way down, almost to the reel seat down there. But my big moving baits, or my big hook moving baits, so like swim jigs, spinner baits, chatter baits, any of those larger single hook things, could be like your owner flashy swimmers, buzz baits. This does double work as larger treble hooks, so you could throw like your Topwater ploppers, like 110, 130, square bill, like a bigger 2.5, or even some of the 1.5s, but I like the bigger, like the 2.5s with beefier hooks. Square bills on this, so it really is a versatile rod. It does everything well. You can throw your worms, jigs on this. It does just have a little bit more of a slightly spongier tip, but Some guys completely like that, some guys don't. So overall, I think this is truly what I would call, like if I were to pick one, this really is my pick for like a multi-purpose. So I think they nailed that. I've got some 17-pound line on here. This is the P-Line Tactical and a new reel. I'll be going over this. This is the Arc Gravity G2 they sent me to try out. So I'll be doing a close-up look, reviewing everything, a little bit different than the last version, but that's the first. Okay, number 2 is the Worm and Jig. They've got a couple different ones of this. I picked up the 7.3 Fast Medium Heavy, rated for lures 3/8 to 1 ounce. And again, I think they nailed the action of this. The top like quarter of the rod gets that bend into it, but it's definitely crisper. And for me, the big thing with like a worm, Texas rig rod, I do like a faster tip to it, because when you get in that wood and rock, like say I'm working a jig, so Texas rig, jigs, this is just a ball, the War Eagle Heavy Finesse 3/8. When you throw this in rocks and stuff and you kind of get caught in there, if you have a real soft rod, you're really pulling, that rod's bending, loading, trying to pop it out of there. Whereas if you have a real fast rod, it's just that tip. You know, you can kind of feel what you're on it and kind of pop it free easier, as opposed to like a pooly, noodly, waffly rod. Seems like you're having to pull all the way back into it and it's harder to snap out. So around rocks, wood, even around some grass, depending on how and where I'm fishing, with like a lipless, I like a little bit faster rod that I can pop free of there instead of it really getting in and having to really spongy load it. So again, with the way this one's set up, it is still a very versatile rod. You can still use it. I think that's one misconception. Like when you look on a website and companies offer like what the rod would be good for, people think, oh, they're just trying to sell me more rods. No, you can still throw your spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, all that stuff on this rod, just a little faster tip. Maybe you use mono to help dampen that, right? So there's different ways you can get around that, but I think this is going to be a perfect Texas rig jig rod. That's why I put this on. The older Lew's Pitch and Flip, Pitch and Skip, whatever the name of it was. Pro SP, Skip and Pitch. It's an 8.3 to 1. I put 17 pound on this. I'm sorry, 17 pound on this one. It was 15 pound on my other all-purpose rod. So 17 pound on here. In those rocks and that wood, I tend to bump up. You can even go 20 if you're fishing really heavy stuff. But I think this will be a fun rod to test. Okay, and the last cranking rod of the bunch, I got the 7'3" crankbait rod. This is a 7.3 moderate fast, medium heavy, rated for lures 3/8 up to 3/4. Now the thing with this one though, it's a crankbait rod, right? It's in the crankbait series. So even though this has the same as like that all-purpose 7.3 medium heavy moderate fast, it's in the cranking style. And you'll be able to see as I bend the tip here, it's going all the way down past middle to the second eye right there, if you can see it. Luckily I got a big nose, I can point there, down to the second line eye, so it bends way farther down into the middle of this rod, which is what I like, because this is a good versatile treble hook bait type of rod. So for me, this is those smaller cranks. This one loads them up really well. This is a little Bandit 100 that I custom painted. Look at that. You know, your little square bills, your 6-foot divers, even up to like your DT 10s, I think on this, you'd be perfectly fine. It's got enough length, you know, to it to cast it, but still soft enough to throw and load those lighter lures. That's one mistake that people go to when, you know, they're picking a rod. They might just look at the specifics of it, but for something they want and how they actually want it to load, may not feel right. So that's why sometimes rods, you kind of have to get your hands on them and try them. But really like the way this fits in hand. Again, for cranking up here, my hand goes up here, and this is extremely comfortable. I can grip, hold this tight. I don't care what people say. If your rod is not comfortable to hold, it can be $1,000 rod. You're not going to want to fish it. So fits really well in hand. Like I said, pretty well balanced, just a tiny bit tip heavy, but for a $100 rod, pretty dang good. And at the price point, that's honestly where I'm the most comfortable. You know, obviously I'm blessed with all of you watching, and I can, you know, do these reviews and get products and stuff. But if it was me buying stuff, up to like $150 is where I feel like I really don't need much more than that. That's why I'm trying to test more of the budget gear and stuff. This is actually from Spro. Had no idea they even made reels. I got some updated winter bibs over Christmas. They had half off. And I got this. This is the Vortex reel. If you watch that casting battle, this was in here, and it actually really surprised me. They put some girthy knobs on it, thank goodness. But yeah, so this is, you know, all in all, I got this reel for 30 bucks on their sale. You know, it's a $150, $160 combo. Pretty darn good for the quality that you're getting. And of course, this, you know, like many budget reels, is going to be a graphite frame, graphite side plate, but throwing cranks and stuff isn't going to put as much stress on your combo. Now, deep cranking, throwing the really deep heavy stuff where there's a lot of tension, you know, a lot of drag, force, you know, on your reel, different story. But with these, you know, smaller cranks, you know, 6, like I said, up to 10 foot feet, up to 10 foot, this is great. You know, it's not like a frog or a jig where I'm setting that hook super hard, and you can get flex in the frame. I can probably even show you here. I don't know if I can hold it tight enough, but you can flex the side plate on this, and that's what causes issues. You know, then you'll start hearing that cracky, grindy, but you know, things like cranks, topwater, where you're not absolutely wrenching, crushing them, like with treble hook baits, is perfect for a graphite frame reel. So as a, you know, more budget-friendly combo, I think this will be a fun little cranking setup. Okay, and then 2 spinning rods. Now, as I pointed out earlier, this piece compared to the older, big difference for me. I noticed the first thing when I held the other Ned rig rod, the old version, my hand, the butt of my hand sits right here on that. And I noticed my hand rubbing that old cork where it sticks up. This, they've tapered down, they've smoothed it off to like where that reel nut goes. Big difference. And I like that all this is just plain up here. I don't like a bunch of stuff here where my hand goes. I want to be able to feel the blank. I put my pinky behind the reel, hold my finger here, you know, when I'm popping or, you know, hopping a Ned rig, which is what this one is. That's what I like. So like I said, this one's a little bit faster action, a little bit crisper feeling than the other one, the previous version. Like I said, I don't know if that's across all models, but I definitely noticed it on this and like the multi-purpose, not as soft. Now the Ned rig that I got here, 6'10" fast, medium, rated for lures 1/16 to 1/4. And this to me is like a do-it-all rod. If I were to pick one spinning rod, this is it. Drop shot, shaky head, Ned rig, small swim baits. You can go down the list. This will pretty much do it all. Wacky rigs, great multi-purpose rod to me. So that's what I would have named this one. They can name it Ned rig. Doesn't mean it's just for those. Like I said, it's not a you know, a marketing deal. Just kind of like the ideal thing. Ned rigs are extremely popular now, right? So people see that and they're like, oh, perfect. So this will do all those really well. Feels really good in hand. Yeah, the old Ned rig special. Oh yeah, pick a spinning reel of choice. This is the same price as the rod, 130 bucks. The Shimano Miravel. I think I have 12 pound. That's the P-Line Spinix braid on there, to an 8 pound fluorocarbon leader. And then last but not least, the last spinning rod, what they call their multi-purpose. Now to me, this is a little bit stiffer. This has certain things that I like it for. Like this is a medium heavy. The specs on it are 7 foot fast, medium heavy, rated for lures 3/16 to 5/8. So again, this has that faster tip as well, but the medium heavy. Now a medium heavy in a spinning rod is still going to be softer than a casting rod, but you can definitely feel the difference between this and the Ned rig, which is fine because I would go to my heavier stuff. I would see on the Ned rig up to like 3/16-ish, a quarter. Once I get to 3/16 and a quarter, I like this medium heavy better. So for your, you know, quarter ounce and up shaky heads, your swim baits like this, I'm a big minnow shaking guy. If you've watched my previous videos, really good at that. So I needed a specific, you know, combo for this. But anyway, your heavier stuff, this to me will do absolutely great. Like I said, feels crisp in hand, not super noodly, waffly, and I didn't go crazy expensive on the reel. Daiwa Laguna, I think what? These are like 50 bucks, something like that. I've had no problems with it. There are some parts on it that, you know, aren't as quality as some of the other Daiwas, but still I've used it, had no issues. I've got some 10 pound braid on here. This is the P-Line TCB braid, I want to say, the older stuff, and then an 8 pound leader on there again. So I was joking, I am completely new to the minnow shaking, but I think this one will be perfect for it. It's got that tip that's got just enough bounce in it where I can be shaking my minnow out there in the yak. So there you have it. Comment below, what do you think of the new Element Z2 rods? Like I said, if you've used anything Cashion, some of the old ones, the Icons, I forget what the other one was. I've got another light gray one over there, the crankbait one. I've really liked them, but I've really played more with these two a lot more compared to the Element line, which like I said, just came out a couple years ago. So a lot of you may not even heard of it. Really liked them last year. Excited to play with these. Like I said, I'll leave my code below, DEBO10, if you go over to the Cashion site, save 10%. I appreciate Cashion for doing that. Now, subscribe fishing friend of the day, Fishing with Ali G. Ali recently commented on the last video I did. I just did an unboxing of some lures I got over at LureNet. Said, I think the how-to series will be the move. I'm an experienced angler, but I found your channel because I started using a Baitcaster, looked up the best way to cast that, put line on it. I've had, I don't know how many people reach out. It's insane to me to think about the number of people that I've taught how to use a Baitcaster. That video absolutely took off, over 1 million views. I appreciate the heck out of all of you. I would not be here, you know, with these sort of opportunities, companies reaching out to me to test stuff and show stuff. And it's my job to give an honest opinion on that. I don't care if the company sent it to me or not. I'm going to be honest. There's people out there that say, oh, if you get stuff, you're not going to give an honest opinion. I made that mistake early on in my career, and that will never happen again. I've you know, Anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but you'll get my honest opinion on it. And if they're a good company like Cashion, they'll take that feedback on a series and make improvements. That's what companies should do. They shouldn't be afraid of constructive criticism, right? Especially if somebody's given good intentions to help them out. But anyway, that's enough ranting. Maybe we need a DEBO'S members only live. We'll do some ranting on some of this stuff. But I love you guys. Appreciate y'all for watching. Thanks again. Until next time.